Armada Kickoff is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, Community First Credit Union, Winn-Dixie, Baptist Health, and Bowden Eye and Associates.
Hello and welcome into Armada Kickoff. We hope to give you a little bit of a break from all the hurricane stuff right now, but in the meantime, make good decisions, be smart, help your neighbors, everything will be good. We'll be back at it, of course, as far as soccer is concerned. There is a big change on the Armada schedule because of the hurricane. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. This is all coming on the heels of a big week for the Armada, a win on the road against Minnesota United, one of the league's best teams, and a major move on the bench. We'll talk about the impact of the coaching decision coming up. Also coming up, Andy Kidd and David Hayes here for the Analyst Roundtable. We'll ask them what they think of the Armada's moves, and we'll take a closer look at the way the Armada played in Minnesota and why it was successful. Well, let's start with the big news this week. When Mark Lowry was made the club's interim head coach back in August, it didn't take long for players to buy in. In fact, Armada defender Tyler Ruthven said that he was sold on Lowry as the head coach in the very first week of preparation going into that road game in Ottawa. As it turned out, the Armada won that game, the first away win in team history. And this week, Lowry had the interim tag removed from his title.
You know, we know the direction the club wants to go in terms of a playing philosophy, so we're trying to implement that every day. So we just believe that if we kept doing that on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, then good things would happen. So, you know, I'm tremendously privileged and honored to be in this position right now.
In my mind, after the first few games, you could kind of see the direction this club was heading. And we were heading in the right direction. And it was felt not only by Nathan and his team and the players on the field, but also in the office and throughout the organization. Everybody felt good about where we were heading, and you could even see that from the fans too.
I ask the question every training session, every game, are we teaching? Are we learning as a club? And then I looked at, are we being progressive? And I feel over the last 9 games, we've been progressive and we've taught. And I think you've seen that the players have really brought into that philosophy.
The approach top to bottom when he took over was that this is how we're doing things now. There was never the feeling of like, get through the season or, you know, kind of stopgap. It always, we went about our business as if you know, this is the way we're doing things now. So that's why, you know, this announcement really makes no difference to us. This is the things we've installed and the way we're going to do things, and so it's we're excited to move forward.
Mark Lowry looking for his second win away as the Armada head coach. A lot of defensive action here. 28th minute, Gallardo on a ball that came out. He came off his line, then Boehner and Burt combined, along with Tyler Ruthven, to turn it away. 35th minute, off a corner kick for Minnesota. The ball headed out. Jamie Watson gets it off the left foot and hits the crossbar, the woodwork. Miguel Gallardo's best friend taking another look at it. This one knuckling right to the crossbar. Stays a 0-0 game. Just a couple of minutes later, on a ball sent in by Kevin Venegas, went all the way through. Aaron Pitchkolin thought he might have had a shot at things. 43rd minute, late in the first half. Watch Justin Davis here. Set on a little give and go. Beautifully done, but despite the fact on the ball that caromed in, Davis called offside. Take another look at it. He's beyond the final defender. Offside call remains 0-0. The Armada nearly got to the halftime locker room with a lead. Charles Ilundu trying to score yet again, put it just wide. Then 88th minute, here is the difference maker. Matt Boehner puts it away, his 3rd goal of the season, off the header from Derek Gebhard on a set piece. The Armada celebrating the late goal. Watch it again. Gebhard able to rise, got the head on it. Boehner chests it down, turns and got it past Sammy Unjuk for the goal. 88th minute, the Armada win away for the second time under Mark Lowry. 1-0 in their final NASL matchup with Minnesota United.
All right, take a look at the stats from the big win by the Armada in Minnesota. You can see more shots. They did not allow a shot on goal. That's the second time in the last 3 matches the Armada have not allowed a shot on goal in the run of play. Very impressive defensive performance. Then Matt Boehner got the goal in the 88th minute to give the Armada the victory. It was a big one against one of the league's most talented rosters. Now let's head to the Analyst Roundtable presented by Subway.
Players that you can switch around, and we're going to be very strong.
We saw a lot of different players, a lot of different lineups.
All right, welcome in here, the Analyst Roundtable presented by Subway. David Hayes, Andy Kidd. All right, let's talk about the big story. Your thoughts on Mark Lowry getting the interim tag taken off?
I like it. I think it gives the team now almost a mini preseason camp for next year with their head coach, the guy they know who's going to be there. He's obviously had 2 huge wins on the road with Ottawa and Minnesota. The team seems to be responding to him. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You asked me this question the middle of next year. Maybe I'll have a better answer. But what I do know is he's come in and he's got time to assess the players, and he's done a tremendous job at getting the best out of the players that he has. So I think he's done a tremendous job.
Well, the offseason is going to be a big part of this, I think, as well. When you think about the fact that you'll have the same coach and technical director throughout the offseason, what kind of an impact can that have on 2017?
I mean, big. I mean, he has had time with the team now to see what players he wants to keep, and then he's also seen that the players around the league that might be available. So I think, you know, it kind of, you know, pushes us forward to a good 2017.
Yeah, it sets up nicely. He can evaluate his current team as the Armada finish out the fall season. And at the same time, as David said, he knows what's out there, and he knows what kind of style of play that he and Nathan Walter want to play and what kind of players fit in that style.
Now, keep in mind, he's seen just about every era, if you talk about the Armada, with he came in last year under Eric Dade as an assistant, came up from Orlando, and from then on, he's been around. So he has a good feel not only for this league, but also for all the guys who are and have been on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and the guys respond to him. I mean, it seems like no matter who comes in, what players come in, who he activates, who's in the 18, who's in the 11, they go on the field and they respond. I mean, unbeaten in the last 4 matches is a good testament for the Armada, and the 2 road wins are huge.
Yeah, sometimes this, for an assistant coach, that's the best place to be sometimes, because you get to see what other, you know, coaches in front of you have done wrong and what will actually you know, light a fire under some of these guys. And I think that he's done a great job at focusing on that and actually implementing that.
David Hayes, Andy Kidd, thanks so much. More from you guys coming up here in just a bit. Let's hear now from the man of the hour. What did he want to accomplish when he took over, and has he achieved these goals? Here's Coach's Corner, presented by Asana Wellness Center, the official training facility of the Jacksonville Armada.
You know, I think it was, you know, first and foremost a defensive foundation, a solidarity as a unit defensively. The big thing was this club has not won a game on the road. So I believe to do that, to win games, be successful on the road, you have to give yourself a chance by keeping the score close. And to do that, it just means being defensively compact and solid. So we worked on that initially, and I think we saw good signs of that. And then from there, it was the other end of the field. I think between the 2 18s, we were good. But in one 18 defensively and the other 18 scoring goals, we have to improve that. And I would like to think that we started to do that. And I don't think we've seen the complete product yet. I think game to game, we see progressions in different areas. And we're just looking forward to that moment that when it all clicks in both ends and through the middle, we should see something pretty exciting.
How does this change the way that you'll approach things with the team, and how do you think it'll change the way the players interact with you, if at all?
From my standpoint, nothing. I honestly felt, to be fair to the club and to be fair to these players, that from the get-go we have to treat this like it was long-term, and it was the only way to take this club forward. So from how we worked and how we spoke and how we communicated to them, it was all very much in their best interest. You know, how we can make you better players, not just for this game or this season, but for the rest of your career. So from my standpoint, from a teaching element, from a coaching element, nothing will change in my relationship with the players. And maybe they now might see this, hang on, you know, okay, so this is permanent, let's really get to work. But I honestly, I don't think that will change it, because I feel like the respect that I have for them and they have for the coaching staff, that we've already built that foundation. So I would just like to think from here on out we can just continue as we have been, and we're on a good trajectory right now. So if we can continue that, then I think we can finish the season off strong.
All right, here's the schedule coming up, and as you see, the game that was scheduled for Saturday has been moved to Wednesday because of Hurricane Matthew. Still a 7 o'clock kickoff for the Armada against Indy 11. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 5 are at home at Community First Park, including the final match of the season, day after Florida, Georgia, Sunday against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tickets are available for all of these matches by calling 844-2-ARMADA or by going online to armadafc.com. One team clinched a spot in the NASL Championship this week. Coming up, we'll go around the NASL. Plus, Andy Kidd of the Armada Bootroom taking a closer look at Saturday's win in Minnesota. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
To enter for your chance to participate in the Winn-Dixie Bubble Battle, visit your nearest Winn-Dixie in your Armada gear, take a selfie, and post it to any of the Armada social media using the hashtag WinnDixieBB. 2 winners will be selected every Wednesday during a home match week. Assemble a team of 3, and you're ready for battle.
Indy 11 have already clinched a spot in the championship with their spring season title. One more club clinched a spot this past week. Let's go around the NASL, presented by Nike.
We start in New York, where the Cosmos have not lost a game at home since the 2015 regular season. They take a 2-0 victory over Fort Lauderdale. The goal in the 57th minute, Ruben Bover gets it past Bruno, 5th assist of the year for Juan Arango. FC Edmonton hosting Indy 11, deep into second half injury time, tied at 1 when Ben Fisk scores his first goal for FC Edmonton, a 2-1 Eddie's victory over Indy 11. Amon Zayed scoring his 14th goal of the year to move to within 1 of Christian Ramirez for the top spot in the NASL. Puerto Rico at Ottawa Fury, and PRFC winning its 3rd straight game, scoring the winning goal while playing with 10 men. 77th minute, Sidney Rivera, a shot from 35 yards out past Romuald Pezer for the Puerto Rico victory. Rayo OKC and the Carolina Railhawks, Matt Watson and Rayo's Footy Danso, each scoring in second half stoppage time, a 1-1 draw in Oklahoma. Tampa Bay Rowdies, Miami FC, Georgi Ristov slides the ball across the area to Eric Avil in the 31st minute for the Tampa Bay goal, but in the 74th minute, Rhett Bernstein gets it done for Miami. Those two Florida rivals finish in a 1-1 draw.
All right, here's how the standings look now in the fall season. The Armada improving, creeping up on the bottom of the table, but the Cosmos with a 7-point lead right now with 5 matches to play. Very impressive gap for the Cosmos here in the fall. The overall standings, much more interesting when you look at the combined. Yeah, the Cosmos would get in. Indy 11's already in. Edmonton looks firmly implanted to get into the postseason. The really interesting thing to look at is that 4th spot, the final spot in the NASL Championship semifinals. Minnesota United, Tampa Bay Rowdies, level on points. Then you have Miami and Carolina and Rayo OKC and the Strikers all within 5 points. That's less than 2 wins. It's going to be a mad dash to the finish to get into the NASL Championship semifinals. Now let's head to the Armada Bootroom, presented by MTech. All right, here in the Armada Bootroom with Andy Kidd. We've been talking a lot about Mark Lowry's style that he's really impressing on this team. And you brought up an interesting point about the difference between playing a style and being a robot, kind of being a slave to a style.
Right, and what we're going to see here when we look at the clips here is, you know, there's a style of play he wants and positioning that he wants on the field, but he doesn't want to lock the guys in. He still wants to give the guys enough leeway that they're not robots, that they have trust in each other to make some intelligent runs, some intelligent defensive plays, and make some decisions where they're not just second-guessing themselves and going, oh my gosh, I can't do that because coach doesn't want me to leave this 10-yard radius.
Well, let's start by taking a look at the average position on the field.
If you look at the back four, here's Boehner, Ruthven, Meshach Jerome, and Brian Burke, and they are in a great positioning to support each other, to support the two defensive center midfielders are in great spots. And this is for the entire 90 minutes. I mean, that this is their average position, supporting each other. They're in a great role there. And then you've got Steinberger and some of the forwards. They're going to have more freedom and they're going to bounce around a little bit, but also in good spots. I think Coach Lowry would be really pleased with this. But let's look at a couple of clips that show that they're not robots, that they don't just stay in this same area.
All right, let's start first with a play that happened early in the second half.
Yeah, and this is actually Matt Boehner stepping in, and you get Boehner stepping in there because he knows that he has the cover. He has the cover behind him with Meshach Jerome. He has the cover with Tyler Ruthven, and it turns into a great opportunity for the Armada. Boehner's able to step in, step forward, not say, oh, I have to stay back, I have to stay back. And you see Alundu wins a foul here for the Armada, and it all started with Boehner having the freedom to go forward.
Well, look how far forward. That's your left back all the way in the opposing team's 18.
All right, the next clip is Steinberger, and you're going to see Steinberger on the left-hand part of your screen here. I'm going to circle him here in just a second when he comes into the screen, and here he is. And this is defensively. The Armada are coming in defensively, and here's Steinberger. He is an attacking center midfielder for the Armada, all right? Well, look how far back he gets to help support. And this is just reading a play. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and win possession for us, and I'm going to get us out of here. All right? Doesn't mean, hey, as an attacking center midfielder, it doesn't mean he has to just stay in one position on the field. It means he has some flexibility. Now, he has some general guidelines that Lowry wants him to follow, but as a soccer player and a soccer coach, Coach Lowry doesn't want to limit his players to just certain areas of the field.
You're seeing smarter play and more aware play right now out of this group.
Yeah, these guys have a good soccer IQ. They understand what Coach Lowry wants, and they're executing it.
We like to see that. Andy, thanks so much. All right, straight ahead, we're going to talk a little bit more about the U.S. men's national team. Some interesting names on and off the roster for this week's friendlies. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead. It is now time to get your 2017 season tickets renewed. If you're a season ticket owner, renew by October the 8th. You'll get a personalized 2017 Armada kit for yourself. Renew by October 15th. You have a chance to get a VIP skybox for an Armada match. And by October the 28th, you could win a trip to see the NASL Championship Finals. Renew now. Call 844-2-ARMADA or online at armadafc.com.
Players that you can switch around, and we're going to be very strong.
We saw a lot of different players, a lot of different lineups.
All right, welcome back to the Analyst Roundtable presented by Subway. David Hayes, Andy Kidd. Let's start with a little talk about the U.S. men's national team. Friendlies tomorrow and next week. Interesting choices on the roster for Jurgen Klinsmann. No Brad Guzan, no Tim Howard, no Matt Beasler, no Graham Zusi, but a lot of young faces.
Yeah, a lot of young faces. I think this is absolutely an opportunity for Klinsmann to look at some of the talent that's out there that maybe not had a chance to come into national team camp, or some that have been in the past that have grown and matured with their clubs, with their pro clubs, and now getting a look at them in some games that don't really mean anything and should be easy wins for the U.S. So it's kind of a win-win for Klinsmann. He doesn't have to use his veterans. He can look at some young guys that may be able to help him in the next World Cup.
Yeah, there are a couple friendlies, and I think it's time. I mean, you look at Clint Dempsey, he's hurt. Some of these guys are getting older, so it's about time that we see some of these younger players.
Any concern at all, considering that after these two friendlies, the next time they'll be on the pitch will be in the Hex against Mexico in Columbus? Is there any concern about not having all these guys playing together recently before that match?
No, I think they played many years together, so they know how each other play. But it's time for these young guys to step up, and I think some of these guys, I mean, you're playing for the U.S. national team, so you're not there by chance. You're there because you've earned it. So, have fun.
Andy, Nathan Walters talked about the club's style of play, kind of the style that he wants the club to imbue into the team. Is that the style that Mark Lowry is utilizing? Are you seeing a specific identity forming?
Absolutely. I think you see a team that wants to be technically sound, keep the ball, keep possession, move the ball quickly, get their outside backs involved into the attack, and it's an attractive style of play. And so, it's going to be interesting to see this offseason, they've built a style of play that they're now going to be looking for players to fit that style of play. There's some coaches that have players that they bring in, just pick the best player available, and then they adjust their style of play to that. Well, it looks like Nathan and what Mark Lowry are going to want to do is they have a style of play, and they're going to try and find players that fit that style.
Correct. I mean, obviously you want to defend first. You don't want to chase, the game. You don't want to give up goals early, and you want to attack, and you want to attack attractively. But it's hard to find those players. Right. So that's the only thing. And that's why I think coaches need a couple years, because it takes a couple years to find some of those players that can kind of mold into what you're trying to build.
Interesting to see what's going to happen now. Saturday's match postponed due to Hurricane Matthew to Wednesday against Indy. What are you expecting in that one?
Well, I mean, I expect us to go out and do the same thing, be consistent with what we're doing, and actually come off of last time I think we played them, we lost 5-2, and I think we weren't in a good state of mind, and we are so far better than what that score indicated. So I think we're going to beat them, and I think it's going to be lopsided in our favor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's a huge opportunity. I mean, by naming Coach Lowry the head coach now, everything from here out in the fall is bonus time. He's the head coach. He gets to evaluate players, evaluate talent, start working with the lineup that he wants to work with, and see who he wants to keep for next year's team. So I think it's just a huge bonus for the franchise that Lowry's already been named the head coach, and he took that interim tag off.
Andy Kidd, David Hayes, thanks so much. Coming up, we take a look ahead to the next matchup for the Armada. No longer a Saturday, remember now, a Wednesday meeting with Indy 11. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
Saturday, the Armada face Indy 11 for the third time this year. Back in May, the Armada drew 1-1 with Indy, with Matt Boehner scoring a beauty of a goal in the 30th minute. But Justin Braun equalized in the 73rd to help Indy take a point. Then in August, probably the low point of the season, a 5-2 loss on a Wednesday night. The most goals the Armada have ever conceded. Eamon Zayed scoring a hat trick, first time that's ever happened against the Armada. Indy has already wrapped up a playoff spot thanks to winning the spring season, and Zayed is just one goal behind Minnesota's Christian Ramirez in the chase for the NASL's scoring title.
All right, here is the information on the next home match. It was scheduled to be Saturday. Because of Hurricane Matthew, moved to Wednesday at 7 o'clock at Community First Park. Breast Cancer Awareness Night. And We Got Soccer presenting this one as the Armada take on the spring season champions Indy 11. For ticket information, 844-2-ARMADA or go online to armadafc.com. One last bit of news this week. The Armada extended the contract of young forward Derek Gebhard. The 20-year-old has been making a bigger and bigger impact on the Armada attack. He created a penalty kick opportunity at Rayo OKC last month. Charles Ilundu converted the penalty. And Gebhard recorded his first assist as a pro when he set up Matt Boehner's game winner on Saturday in Minnesota. The Armada also announced that they parted ways with Swedish forward Alex Anderson. Remember, you can always get the very latest on the Armada online at armadafc.com and on Sports Radio 930, the Armada Coaches Show Mondays at 6 and the Armada Soccer Show Wednesdays at 6. Of course, Wednesday we'll have the Armada taking on Indy 11 from Community First Park. You can hear that game on radio or watch it on ESPN3. Thanks for joining us. We're leaving now with some of the highlights from the Mark Lowry era, the past 9 games for the Armada. Thanks for watching Armada Kickoff.
Armada Kickoff is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, the mark of a quality home.